G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Yes, I am not actually angry today. Believe it or not, I don't have anger management issues and I am definitely not a psychopath, okay? So, the Bledisloe Cup has gone to New Zealand for the 21st, 21 years in a row now. Okay, calm down, breathe, breathe, breathe. But, this was a much better performance for the Wallabies compared to the last 2 weeks in a row. And I saw much better performances out of the key areas that the Wallabies were lacking in the past 2 weeks, and it's trending towards the right direction, which is something that I'm actually quite happy about from coming out of this game. So yes, the breakdown, obviously going into this game, the Wallabies had one of the worst breakdown retentions in rugby championship at the moment, and really they stepped up quite a lot, like contesting the breakdown constantly, forcing a lot of penalties out of the All Blacks, getting the turnovers. So something that I was really like impressed. In fact, I wasn't just like expecting a bit better from last week, but that was really good, and I was really impressed. And with that breakdown pressure, the All Blacks was actually slowed up a lot with their ball, with their attacking speed. It really led to like a really tight first half game of the game, and the All Blacks was not able to, spread their wings, so to speak, to get themselves front full ball all the time and put the pressure on with the speed that was available. So a lot of that speed was stifled by the breakdown speed, which was really good, and also the physicality that the Wallabies brought, something that we didn't really see for the last two rounds. Was really impressive. We just mashed up the All Black physically, put on a lot of pressure, defense, tackles, and and the All Blacks was looking like they were retracting into the shells a little bit. The Wallabies set piece was still struggling a little bit with the All Blacks. There was obviously the very unfortunate Tupou incident. We'll have to talk about that in the end of, I guess, a little bit later, because I want to go through both teams first, and then I'll talk about the Tupou incident. Obviously, he came off injured and led Wallabies in a big issue on the field. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And also with the one thing that I was really happy, that really gave me a massive smile this game, was the return of Angus Bell. He was absolutely unbelievably good. Angus Bell. He looked like he could play center. He looked like he could play flanker, but he's just so good. He's gonna play tight end prop, because obviously when the scrum is packed, he's just not gonna be able to. He's just got too much talent for him to just be standing out on in the center position away from the ball. Right, he's gonna have to get himself in there and push for the scrums just to keep himself busy. That's how good and talented he is. And I was so happy to see him play, and he was so good. He was dominant in the scrummaging. He was dominant in the breakdowns, dominant in set piece. We saw a nice good ball carry from him as well. Made a nice break for the Wallabies in the second half, and I was just super impressed by his return. Jordi Patea, on the other hand, as well, on the outside center position, going into this game, I was worried that he might not be able to match up with the physicality with Rieko Ioane and what is his name, and Jordy Barrett targeting the 12 and 13 channel. I thought he might not be able to handle that, because he normally plays fullback and all plays in the wing. He did debut. He did make his starting debut against England in the Rugby World Cup. That was like his second game or something in the outside center position. So it's not like he never played international tests before in our center. And he was really good this game. I thought he took out space from Rieko Ioane and really shut down the defense quite well. And in the attack as well, he was able to find some space, create space for players around him, almost making some half breaks and getting the offload off as well, which was quite good. That being said, the Wallabies support running was a little bit lacking. There was a number of times the Wallabies made breaks, and it was just like, come on, just link up with some support players, and it would have been could have gone for a try. There was a number of times Andrew Callaway made a break in the second half. Like I said, Angus Bell made a break, almost gone through. Jordi Patea made like half break that almost could have seen something happen if there had been a bit more follow up. But yeah, I thought that was something that really big positives. The fact that they were able to get these breaks against one of the best defensive teams in the world, finding those gaps. But really, yeah, it was just need that support running to follow up to get to that next level a little bit. And with that, and also finally, we were behold the pleasure of watching Mark versus Mark, the two Marks on the wing, Mark Nwanganitawasi versus Mark Talea. And both of them were doing this weird thing where they were just like given the ball, right? And then it was just like, all right, I'll just run it and see what happens. and they just start dancing around in the middle of the field, try to show off their talents. But both will do exactly the same sort of like show where they just like dance around and try to wiggle themselves through. Mark Nwanga and Tawasi actually went through one time, and same with Talea. Both were found themselves, again, success. And I did think that Mark Talea, having better support, was able to find tries for the All Blacks, whereas Nwanga and Tawasi didn't have the support running. He did make a nice break as well, and wasn't able to get anybody through. And yeah, it was really, really, that was something that definitely, very, very promising for the Wallabies in that regard. For the All Blacks, I thought Scotty Barrett was absolutely amazing for the All Blacks in the 4-pack. Like, oh my goodness, he was just belting everybody. He got the first try for the All Blacks by belting was Tate McDermott back to 2022, right? Like, he belted him so hard he went back in time, and he dropped the ball over the try line, allowing Shannon Frizzell to like pick up a freebie. It was so huge. And Scotty Barrett, I swore, there was, I think it was based on the TV report, it was three more turnovers against the Wallabies. So the Wallabies had Lionel Moores, and obviously Scotty Barrett's instrumental in defending those Moores. He's so good getting himself in those positions and get the Moores shut down. The All Blacks was able to turn over 3 more Australian Moores in that game as well. I did think that Jordie Barrett with his in the inside centre had a bit of a quiet game. He got shut down with a lot of like the rush defense from Simon Karevi, and obviously Jordie Patea shut him down a lot of his space, and he wasn't really able to do much in the inside centre inside centre position. Rico did have a better game than Jordie Barrett. Rico had a bit more space to work with, and I did think that when Anton Leonard-Brown came on for Jordie Barrett in the second half, it did look like the game opened up a little bit. Like, noticeably, the game opened up a little bit more when Anton Leonard-Brown was in control of the inside centre position. So maybe we'll see Jordie Barrett move to the fullback again. I don't know, with Beauden Barrett at fullback doing quite good. I'm not sure where's Jordie gonna go and how Fozzie's gonna juggle that around. So that's gonna be another big, hat in the All Black selection going into the Rugby World Cup. That's Anton Leonard-Brown in that 12 jersey. The other thing for the All Blacks, I thought, was just, the first half, it looked like the All Blacks got drawn into the kicking game a little bit because of the rush defense, something that the Australians kind of wanted to do, really alleviated a lot of that pressure and neutralized a lot of the speed that the All Blacks had over the Wallabies. But in the second half, when the All Blacks really just turned on the hill a little bit, really got, and the All Black played super tight this game. Like, there was just like one pass, go, one pass, go, one, pick and go, one pass, go, pick and go. Like, for the majority of the attack for the All Blacks, and only like late in the second half, the All Blacks were able to open the game wide a little bit, and then was able to find space out wide and got more, got points on the ball through the wider channels. And and especially noticeable when the All Blacks were trying to work the short channel a lot. Just good hands between the players, in the train tracks, essentially getting themselves a lot of distance, a lot of value out of the short plays in the blindside channels for the All Blacks for the entire game, actually. Yeah, just really tight around the rocks all game, and something that I'm not sure if that's a strategy they wanted to go into the World Cup, because it does look like when the All Blacks play a bit wider, they do look a little more dangerous. That's a lot of the tries were scored, especially in the second half. It was just going wide, stretching out the defense a little bit. Whereas being really tight, I get the idea, trying to get the penalty first and then go wide. But if the Wallabies actually, again, really good discipline in this game, really giving out very few penalties. When you go up against a team that doesn't really give out penalties, it's gonna be really difficult for you to find those opportunities. I felt like you have to roll the dice a little bit and maybe spread the ball. Like, there was one try where the All Blacks went 21 phases, just pick and go. Like 21, come on, it's like high intensity interval training for the 4-pack, whilst the backs are just like getting a moon tan, right? Like what are you doing there, right? So yeah, with that being said, let's talk about the Tupou incident, the probably the turning point of the game that really saw the Wallabies derailed after Tupou came off the field. So first of all, the Tupou selection, I thought Tupou played against Tonga, his home country, a couple weeks ago. I think maybe 3 weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, in the Australian A side, the Wallaby team, and he didn't. I honestly didn't think he looked that good, in that game against Tonga. But then again, everybody looked pretty bad against Tonga in the Wallaby team. So I didn't really think much of that, but he was on the field and he really didn't look like he was ready, to be honest. He didn't look like he was ready for the big game. First carry of the ball looked like he might have took a knock on his knee. And this was a really bad timing as well, because this was right after, so Eddie Jones has decided to put on players early because Wallabies had a 5-meter line out, just early in the second half. So this was actually a pretty smart move by Eddie Jones to really literally just change up the whole front rower, put out like everybody on the field and change it to everybody early. Tupou was on the field a little bit early as well, late in this first half essentially, because Alan Alatoa copped the leg injury. So Tupou was on early. So basically in the second half, Wallabies early in the second half, Wallabies had a line out and Eddie Jones decided to roll the dice, put on the reserves as soon as possible, and Tupou basically immediately hurts his leg. So this was looking really bad for the Wallabies because he can't actually come off now because there was some I think the Wallabies actually breached the rules here because Tupou actually can't come off the field without the Wallabies conceding a player penalty, which means that if the scrum goes to it's because basically you can't replace him with another prop because because he's not the only way you can replace a prop from a prop that's already been taken off is with a HIA, and he hasn't had a HIA. He's got a leg injury, so you can't take him off with a leg injury. You can't actually swap in, and basically you can't put on a prop that's already been on the field, like Angus Bell back on, because with a leg injury, okay, so you have to come off as a HIA for a previously played player to go back onto the field. So that's a really big issue for the Wallabies, because if he just comes off with a leg injury, the Wallabies will have to put on someone else that's not a scrum. They can't put on Angus Bell back on. They have to put on someone else because Angus Bell has already been on the field. They have to put on someone that's not a prop because there isn't a prop available on the bench anymore. And the scrum will have to go to uncontested. And with the scrum going to uncontested, the Wallabies will have to lose a player. Yeah, so that was really, really bad for the Wallabies. So I was thinking to myself, they have to fake an injury. Literally, I was like, someone needs to tell him he needs to fake a head injury to come off the field. And maybe, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that was communicated. But for some reason, and this would really blow my mind a little bit, the Wallaby just played like as if Tupou wasn't hurt at all. For some reason, despite he was clearly hurt, he kept getting the ball. He literally had he ran the ball like 3 times or something, twice or 3 times after he was clearly hurt. And there was a bunch of scrummaging as well. He's clearly under pressure in the scrummaging. Like you can see, he's not able to put a weight on one of his legs. Almost looked like it was on one leg. And there's obviously the All Blacks were just like pushing the scrum forward, and he was just going backwards. And this is literally, I couldn't believe this when I saw this from Nick White. It's so stupid. I'm trying not gonna lose my temper here. So there was a scrum. We're clearly like losing it. The ball goes to the back to scrum. Nick White just stood there and didn't pick the ball up and waited for the referee to do a reset. When the Wallaby scrum was clearly losing, I was like, Nick, do you not realize what is happening? You have a player that's injured. You need to just get this ball out and get on with it. So then the second scrum reset happened again, right? And once again, Tupou was just like going backwards. Instead of getting the ball out, Nick White, right? This is how stupid he is at this incident. I don't know if this was he realizes Tupou's injured. Instead of getting the ball out, he decides to leave the ball for the number 8 to pick up. When the scrum was getting like pushed back, the number 8 was struggling to hold on to the weight that's piling onto him. And of course, immediately as soon as he picks up the ball, the All Blacks tackles him, turns the ball over. Like I was so like mind blown when I saw this from Nick White. Twice he didn't take the ball out of the scrum, and then eventually, instead of getting a HIA on Tupou, so basically what you should have done is going in for a tackle or something, or going for a crash ball, and just stay down and pretend that he had a head injury, and then they can do a HIA substitution. Now, maybe Tupou didn't get the picture, maybe nobody told him, nobody seems to understand the rules here, but Tupou went into it, but eventually they decided to take him off. But just before he was about to get taken off, Tupou went in for a tackle, and he decides to shoulder charge into Nipo Laulala's head. and gets himself sent off for a yellow card. Yeah. But then still, when the yellow card was over, I don't know how this thing works. I'm pretty sure he needs to be substituted off for HIA for Angus Bell to be on the field. Otherwise, the Wallabies should have been playing with uncontested scrum. And then, yeah. So, really, really bizarre situation here. But once Tupou came off the field, it was a massive momentum switch for the All Blacks. The Wallabies seems to be really put off their game. And, yeah, like, it was so bizarre to see that he crashed the ball like 3 times. Literally 3 times. Whilst clearly having a leg injury. They just kept passing the ball to him. I'm sure they probably like told him, like, yeah, you got to go down with a fake head injury for HIA. But I just don't know what's going on. Like, it was some kind of miscommunication or whatever. But anyway, let's move on to actually review the game because I just noticed I've been talking for too long. So yeah, look at some of the stats. 6 tries to the All Blacks, 713 run meters to the to the Wallabies, 490. Like I said, once Tanelo Tupou incident happened, the Wallabies had to play with a yellow card and also play with a lot of disruptions with a missing tight head. The All Blacks were really able to just click themselves into gear. The first half, the All Blacks was only leading 362 run meters to the Wallabies 219. The turnovers conceded, wow, that is so bad for the Wallabies in the second half. So at halftime, the Wallabies only conceded 6 turnovers and the All Blacks conceded 5 turnovers at halftime. So the Wallabies conceded 10 turnovers in the second half. Yeah, with a missing forward, really it wasn't good. And the All Blacks only conceded 4, as you can see here, 9 turnovers conceded. Defense tackles 251 for the Wallabies, 197 for the All Blacks, 37 missed tackles. That's a little bit on the high end, but since the Wallabies has to make so many tackles, that's kind of like not as bad as it could be. Like 250 tackles, it's still like it's just it's about like what 15% missed tackles or something. 20 I don't know, like 15% missed tackles. Yeah, so it's not too bad, but it's not great. It needs to improve on that. The All Blacks 10% missed tackle rate, pretty good. 18 missed tackles out of almost 200 tackles made. At halftime, the Wallabies only missed 18 tackles out of 151. The All Blacks missed 9 out of 79. Kicks in play, 21 for the Wallabies, 25 for the All Blacks. Overall, the kicking game was pretty even between both teams. Aaron Smith, I think, found some early success, but then the kicking game kind of evened out for both sides throughout the game. The scrummaging, I thought, was pretty even overall until Tupou had that leg injury. Then the All Blacks really started to put the pain on. The lineouts, I thought the All Blacks was dominant overall. There was neither teams were able to steal the lineouts from the opposition, but the All Blacks was much better in like defending the lineout, like the post lineout engagements afterwards. Penalty count, like I said, the Wallabies actually was really, really disciplined. Something that was a plaguing issue for the Wallabies for many years now. 8 penalties, that is definitely A+, but 2 yellow cards. Again, that really not ideal. Like the Tupou incident was really, really, really bizarre. He gets himself sent off for a yellow card. So yeah, that was really, I don't know what's going on there. And then there was second yellow card that was given to Mareka Combeti. Bit of a professional foul in front of the try line where he had pat the ball back and when he, on an offside position, gets himself sent off. That's kind of a professional foul, but it wasn't really something that definitely a bit of a brain fart there for Combeti. So to quickly go through some of the key moments in the game. There was some really, really bizarre stuff happened in this game. One of the tries was declined by Talea. Surely we did bribe the referee, by the way. So, glad to say that the TMO actually worked, but it wasn't like, bribing the referee clearly was not enough. So 4 minutes into the game, the All Blacks Aaron Smith was able to find a nice little kick behind, forcing a Wallabies 5-meter lineout. The lineout goes up, ball pops down to McDermott. Scotty Barrett walks straight through, bang, smashes McDermott on the try line, send the ball flying loose, and then Shannon Frizzell grounds the ball, 5 points to nil to the Wallabies, and I was like, wow, that was like the worst start ever. 6 minutes into the game, Mark Nwanga Nitawasi makes a nice break. He stiff arms Riku Ioane in the process. He like bumps off 2 defenders and then stiff arm Riku Ioane, makes himself 5 minutes short for the Wallabies. And then there was a lot of people just like flooding into the breakdowns. Wallabies just pick and go. Rob Valentini gets the ball. He crashes through with the help of what's his name? I think it might have been who was it? Valentini and Jet Holloway pushing him through. It looked like he scored, but Barnsley couldn't see anything, so he just let the game play it on. Marika Corambetti gets the ball on the wing. He goes into the corner, and Rico tackles him out of the line. To watch the replay for that try or no try on Corambetti, TMO notifies the guy that we paid, notifies the Barnsley that there might be a try scored under the post. So the try on the side where Corambetti put the ball down, he was actually in touch. But they go back to the Valentini move. He did actually ground the ball on the try line. So Wallaby gets a try right in front. 7 points to 5, takes the lead. There was a massive hit on Mark Talea by Marika Corambetti after this. And there was, and like they said, the All Blacks was trying to spread the ball out wide, and the rush defense was really getting to them. So then the All Blacks just really, probably because of that, started playing really, really tight around the rucks. 13 minutes into the game, there was a penalty against Adi Savia for crawling in the rucks. Wallabies misses his penalty. 50 minutes into the game, Wallabies gets a turnover penalty at the breakdown, which was really, really, really impressive. But the Wallabies fails to find touch. So it was just, looking a little bit, a bit off their game a little bit. Like they do a lot of good work and then just wasn't able to, maybe a little bit too overconfident on some of their moves there a little bit. Jordi Bataille makes a nice break after this. One-handed offload. I thought was looking really good there as well for Jordi Bataille. There was the Wallabies also working on the short side was really good. Angus Bell gets a nice run. After that, the All Blacks was able to get themselves eventually on the front foot. I think this was around 30 minutes in the first half. Basically, the All Blacks was in the front foot. They worked themselves down the short side. Like I said, the whole game, they've been working down the short side. They got about 5 meters short on the try line. They pick and go. They go over the try line, and then Angus Bell was able to rip the ball out of the hands. I think it was out of the hands of Adi Savia, which was it was Aaron Smith. Really, really impressive defensive by Angus Bell. But Barnsley had a penalty advantage. Mark Talea takes a quick tap, goes in, try time. Right? Everybody thought it was try time. TMO review. Mark Talea apparently didn't tap the ball. It looked like he touched the ball. But the TMO said Mark Talea failed to tap the ball and therefore no try. Scrum for the Wallabies. I was like, wow. We definitely bribed the TMO. Wow. That was good. Okay? Because I have never seen that. Like, he clearly tapped the ball. And for some reason, the TMO says he'd failed to touch the ball. It was so bizarre. But, anyway. I simply wrote here, Angus Bell is so fucking good. And I didn't even write down what he did. But Angus Bell is so fucking good. Okay, full stop. Nothing else to be said. I don't know why, but it just says Angus Bell is so fucking good. It's 33 minutes into the game. The championship rounds kicks in for the All Blacks, going into the halftime. All Blacks gets a 5-meter line out. They just walk around the corner, gets another penalty, they go for another line out. And this time they're rolling more. The more goes out into they always do this. The more rolls into the open side, and then they just so they push the more into the open side, and then they roll it into the blind side, and Dakota Taylor goes over. All Blacks gets another try, 12 points, gets the second try. Second try actually, not the third one because it was decline one. 12 points to 7. Carter Gordon again. I don't know what's going on. Like, he's so good, and then somehow his kicking game is really off. He tries to do the kickoff, and the ball didn't go 10 meters, and it wasn't even like it didn't go 10 meters. The ball went like 3 meters, right? Like, just went straight up. I was like, okay, Carter, like, that's not even close to 10. What's going on here, right? And then, after this, things starts to get derailed for the Wallabies with Alala looked like he hurt his leg. There were suspicions that there might be a calf injury. Tupou was on the field early. 37 minutes into the game, Mark Talea beats multiple defenders once again just with his footwork. Got the All Blacks 5 minutes short. Adi Savia tried to crash the ball over, gets held up. The All Blacks gets another penalty advantage, and they just pound the try line. 40 minutes, the hooter goes off. All Blacks just pound the try line. 21 off balls, just 20 pick and goes or short, one off. The backs didn't even touch the ball for 20 phases. Eventually, the ball goes out to the backs. And this was the quickest ball I have ever seen on TV. Like, it was insane. I don't think I've ever seen a ball faster than this one, okay? The ball, Jordy Barry gets the ball. He loops the ball behind to Richie Muonga, who was running a deep line behind him. Richie Muonga gets the ball, and he flings it over the top to Will Jordan, right? The speed that Richie Muonga flings the ball over was so fast. It looked like the TV didn't even catch it. Like, the ball just went like Jordy Barrett, and then it just suddenly went like Richie Muonga, and then suddenly was like in the hand of Will Jordan, right? Like, it was like watching a magic trick or something. Like, it looked like something wrong with the TV feed, and then there was like a frame missing or something. It was so fast, like the pass from Richie Muonga. It looked like the TV, something happened wrong with the feed. It was skipped a frame or something. It was so quick. And then obviously Will Jordan goes into the corner for the All Black try. Halftime, I think what was the halftime score? 17 points to 7. I think 17 points to 7. I think halftime score. And then second half, the Wallabies come out with a bit more with a bit more intensity, which is what they want to do. They get a 5-meter line out early. Scotty Barrett stops it, and then 46 minutes in the game, Wallabies gets another 5-meter line out. They kick the ball out, and this is when Eddie Jones did the smart decision to put on the replacements. 5 replacements, forwards, locks, everybody goes on. Tupou was already on the field. The ball comes out, they crash the ball, and it looked like Tupou hurt himself in the crash ball. Looked like he might have hurt his leg. Not sure what it is, but it was like, I'm like, oh my god, this is really bad, because Eddie just used his substitutions. He can't put on Angus Bell unless it's the HIA. So yeah, this was looking not good for the Wallabies. There was basically I was thinking that they have to get Tupou to fake an injury, but they played on. Eventually, for some reason, they kept passing the ball to Tupou. He was clearly hurt. 53 minutes into the game, they go to a They go to a scrum. There was a knock on, and then it looked like the scrum was clearly under pressure because Tupou couldn't put weight on one of his foot. And Nick White, like I said, I don't know what the hell he's doing, kept just leaving the ball in the scrum and wait for another reset. Like, clearly he's hurt, and I don't know why they keep passing the ball to him when he was clearly hurt. And anyway, eventually Tupou was subs it off, and then they realized that the TMO calls in and says that there was a high shot. So Tupou, instead of getting himself a HIA, he decided to high shot somebody else. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there was a miscommunication. So Tupou actually gets yellow card and gets sent off. Right. 58 minutes into the game, Caleb Clark was on the field, and he looked really, really devastating on the win. Lots of power for the All Blacks. Again, the All Blacks was working the short side once again, just a little back and forward. This was back and forward, and then they got really close to the try line, and then Caleb Clark just picked up the ball, ran into the just pick and go, and then got himself into a try. 58 minutes in for the All Blacks with the yellow card against the Wallabies. The defense really starting to fall apart a little bit. 64 minutes into the game, again the All Blacks just pounding their forwards through, sucking in a lot of defenders. The Wallabies was still with a player down. Eventually the ball comes down wide. Goes to Will Jordan. Will Jordan does what he does best. Draws 2 defenders over the top to Mark Talea. Goes in for another try. And then 63 minutes into the game. And then there was just a few minutes after this try was scored, there was a huge break for the All Blacks. Scotty Barrett found himself inside his own half, a little bit of a gap. He throws the ball out wide to Anton Leonard-Brown, who links up with to Caleb Clark. And then they just kind of go side to side a little bit. The ball got pretty inside the Wallabies 22. They spread the ball out wide. This was actually a really poor pass for the All Blacks. The ball kind of went loose behind them, and then what's his name? Rieko Ioane scoops out the ball, long ball out wide to Mark Talea. Mark Talea sees Marika Corambetti in front of him and just went whoosh, and just completely steps him and just beats him in. And it was actually a bit embarrassing. Completely destroys him, runs through. He had Andrew Callaway comes up to take him out, and then just nice little inside ball to Rieko Ioane, goes in for the 6th try for the All Blacks, 66 minutes. And then, yeah, after this try was scored, Isaiah Peresi showed some of that rugby league talent that he possesses. He was on the field for Jordi Patea. Super flat ball and skips like two, I think it was two dummy runners in between, 1 or 2 dummy runners. Super flat ball to Angus Bell, who runs through a massive gap, like just punches through a gap. And it looked like if someone had been there to link up with him, this could have been a try for the Wallabies. After this one as well, there was another one where Andrew Callaway makes a break as well, and he almost, again, no support, couldn't get that try, and then eventually looked like Richie Mwanga has scored a try by taking the ball from Morek and Corambetti, but there was like a nice little kick behind, and Richie Mwanga pushes Corambetti over, so he couldn't get the ball. It was a penalty, so no try. But yeah, that was it. That was pretty much it. That was it for the game. All Blacks just cruised out the last few minutes to finish the game. 38 points to 7. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Really appreciate all the support you guys been giving me these days, watching whatever I talk about. I really do appreciate that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys a bit later tonight for the Springbok versus Argentina match. Thank you.